All right. Happy Sunday. Good afternoon, everyone. For those of you who are watching live via YouTube or watching a replay, we might not have anyone show up today in our session, which is okay. I'm holding the space and holding the intention. I hope you can hear me. And I'm just going to go through this class as though you are watching via replay. So I'm going to hold the space for a second and see if anybody's going to come in, but if they don't, that's all right. We're going to just go ahead and go through it. Okay. Hi. Someone's watching on YouTube. Hello. Can you hear me on YouTube? I'm not quite sure. If you could type in the live chat if you can hear me. Very cool. This is my first time live streaming with the chat, so I apologize if there's like a lag or anything, or if you can't hear me. I'm using some new streaming software. Very cool. I'm really happy that you have joined us. Welcome back to our final day of the Transformative Tears Masterclass. I am honored by the trust and openness that you all have shown me in sharing your journeys through grief. If you have joined on the previous days, sometimes these masterclasses are a little bit hit or miss because I'm new. I don't always have people show up, but I am holding the intention that this will change for me and people will start showing up. So I appreciate those of you who have shown up. I appreciate those of you who have shared your story with me and gone through this journey with me, because it is a very vulnerable place to be in to share these grief stories. So today I'm going to pivot towards healing, focusing on some actionable steps that can guide us from understanding our grief to actively engaging in the healing process. So we're going to begin with a moment of reflection. Over the past 2 days, we've shared some deeply personal stories and explored the multifaceted nature of grief. And I invite you now, if you're watching this on YouTube or of the replay, to just take a moment to think about what these discussions have brought up for you, or if this is your first time joining us, to think about the losses that you have endured. Yesterday, I talked about the loss of my dog, and the day before that, I chatted about the loss of my brother. I've had many losses throughout my lifetime, especially in the last 10 years. I have lost over 10 people in 10 years, and I've lost a few animals as well. And in reflecting on my own grief, what has resonated with me and the new insights that I have discovered in my grief. Oh, 1 second. Let me let someone in here. Perfect. Hi, Lori. Welcome. Welcome. Welcome back. Very cool. Cool. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, great. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it. Awesome.
I had a
So I'm
little
not
technical difficulty.
Oh, no problem. No problem. I'm not sure if Sigario is going to be joining us again today. She has some stuff going on.
Okay.
So it might just be you and I. I have other people who have said they might show up. So we might have people trickle in.
Okay.
But I'm really happy you joined us today. I want to talk about some more actionable steps in our healing process that we can take.
Okay.
So I wanted to begin today with a moment of reflection. Over the past couple of days, we have shared some deeply personal stories and explored the multifaceted nature of our grief. And I want you to take a moment to reflect on what these discussions have brought up for you. What has resonated with you?
Let me grab my paper because I take really good notes.
Yeah, Whitney. Hello. I think my sister's joining us, and I'm really excited about that.
Sweet.
Yeah, very,
Congratulations.
very cool. Very, very cool. Hi, sister. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Welcome. Very cool. So, I was just chatting with Lori here about reflecting on what has resonated. And I'm not sure if you watched the other two classes. When you connect to audio, you can share with us. I'm going to let Lori share with us what has resonated with her, and what new insights she's discovered about her own grief.
Well, I don't think I have anything really new. I'm interested in several of the books that you mentioned, as well as The Body
The
Keeps
body
the
keeps
Score.
the score. Mm-hmm.
Right. I thought, oh, I need to revisit that one a little bit. So that kind of piqued interest in that because I do like to read. And I've found some pretty interesting books and I'm always looking for more. So I appreciate that you mentioned those. Um, that grief and trauma that we carry in the body is directly impactive of the heart, which is connective to the brain. And in that other class that I mentioned to you when I was in the office that one day, about rewire your limbic system thing,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of got my brain really on a focus of wanting to learn more about that. And this is kind of just dovetailing really well into that. And I'm sure the other things that you would teach in your longer sessions would connect. And that was something really new to me. I hadn't ever dove into that particular part of health, I guess I should say. Okay. So, and when you told me to write a letter to my mom, not only to air grievances, but you also said you have to, like, you should put in there something that you loved about her or something that you want to pass down that came from her that will continue to pass down. And when you first said that, I thought, I don't think there's anything, you know? And then when I really did think about it, I thought, no, there is. There's some stuff. So that was kind of cool because I probably wouldn't have put my mind to thinking of that. It would have stayed stuck on just what were the grievances. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And so what came up for you in those reflections? What was it that you love about her?
I'm appreciative of she really could bake a phenomenal peach pie. Now that sounds really dopey, but my brother and my sister and I, all three randomly at different times have said, yeah, I've never had a peach pie quite like hers. It's like that's a tough one to top. And the second one was a pot roast in a cast iron skillet with all the carrots and potatoes around the edges, that almost nobody does that anymore.
Yeah.
So I appreciated that.
And
Um,
so did she teach you how to cook then?
Sometimes,
Yeah.
yeah,
Did
meals at our house were not pleasant usually, mostly because it was stressful for her to time everything because my dad would have this small window. He worked at a pharmacy, a little downtown pharmacy that was also like a Payless drugstore. So it had other things going on in the store, of which he sometimes had to manage the front of the store and the pharmacy. And there was also a little soda fountain shop. So sometimes he was running around all three, depending on if everyone was at work that day. And then he would come home for dinner and immediately go to the hospitals and pharmacy there in the night. So she had to it was important to her that everything stayed hot and got it on the table at the right time to make sure that he got his dinner. So it was a stressful time. So cooking for her wasn't something that she really loved. It was more of a chore. But her grandmother, that was a key piece in her life, loved to bake and loved to cook. And that lady taught my mom how. So it's been passed from her grandmother to her and a little bit to me. I would say some things, but not everything. It wasn't a fun time in the kitchen. Let's just say,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
It was under duress. minute by
Right.
minute by minute. But um, she kind of prided herself on a few of those things too. So that's
So
what I've come up with so far.
awesome. Awesome. That's awesome. So what have you discovered about with this process in have you found that you have some more appreciation for your mom then and in losing her you might have have that ripple effect that's going forward in your own life?
I'd have to think hard on that one. I can't answer that one right this sec. Okay.
That's okay. That's all right. Let's see if Whitney, let's see. Hey
Yeah.
Whitney, ask me. I'm trying to see. Oh, I'm not sure if her thing is working, but that's okay. So let me see. I was going to have Whitney share a little bit about her losses, but I don't know if that's working. So that's okay. So when I was reflecting on my own grief, yesterday I had chatted with Sigario about some unresolved pain in relation to a miscarriage that I had at the age of 18. And I realized that I never really dealt with that pain and just pretended like it never actually happened. So the grief timeline that I asked you guys to work on, um, I have embarked on doing that for myself, and I am working on writing letters to my losses, including this child that I've lost. And for me, that really opened up a whole nother world of grief that I haven't experienced in quite a long time. And I recognized that I was suppressing. And so I recognized that I have more work to do. And so this has been healing in my journey as well. Um, I wanted to ask you guys, where do you feel like your attention goes instead of processing the pain? I feel like for me, it goes into more work. I try to just work and distract. I'm always distracting and I'm always busy. Do you find that to be true for yourself?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I was a teacher for 42 years, so that takes up a lot of your brain space.
Yeah.
With little first graders, I was in first grade the entire time, and really enjoyed that level of learning and what goes on in a first grade classroom. So I just never moved away from it, but it is also hugely demanding of your brain's in has like 10 TV screens going on at a time simply because of all the needs that are needing to be met besides the watching the clock and getting people to different specialists at the right time. So you're juggling a lot. And when I would come home, I would do more things that were home oriented, meaning paint a room or move the furniture around or go shopping for new plants. I mean, it was more like I wanted to make my home as homey as I could make it, but my husband gently and sweetly says, I'm not OCD, I'm CDO because the letters have to be in the right order.
And that's a way that you distract for sure. For sure. I think that that is definitely a distractor. Is having a little bit of OCD. I find myself doing that as well. Um, so as we look towards healing, the actual steps that we can take are very multifaceted and it some of them will seem simple when I bring them forward, but we need to really take a look at what we're actually doing in our life. So healing from grief is a proactive journey, and there's several strategies that we can employ to support ourselves. But working in naturopathic medicine, you're going to hear us, Tara and I, hit the same points a lot. So there's going to be a lot of overlap when it comes to healing from grief, when it comes to healing your body from disease, when it comes to healing from things like addictions, all that sort of thing. Um, the first step in actually getting healing in any capacity is about giving yourself permission to acknowledge. You have to acknowledge, you have to admit and acknowledge. And that first, you took that first step, Lori, in day one when you acknowledged the loss that you were feeling. You hadn't even thought about um, the
Mm,
loss of your mother. And
yeah.
so I feel like that's step one in any good recovery program like AA or things like that. There is the first step is acknowledgement, right? We have to acknowledge, and in that acknowledgement, we're giving ourselves permission. So
Yeah.
you're giving yourself permission to recognize the depth of your grief. And if you're watching this on YouTube, I see I do have a few viewers and my
Okay.
sister here. The first step is acknowledging that that you're sad and that you've lost someone in your life. So if you have not done that already, I encourage you to acknowledge the loss, because there can be such a thing as death apathy. And if you've come over that and you've acknowledged it, great. Do you feel like you've fully acknowledged the losses in your life, Lori?
No, not some, but
And
not
why?
all.
What are you thinking of when you say no? What's coming up for you?
It's kind of super personal and don't really want to be live
Sure,
on that.
absolutely. I get that. I get that.
Thank you.
Um, absolutely. But I encourage you to journal about it, to write it down.
Uh,
And when we're finished here, I have a grief journal that I'll be sending. I'll be sending to
You
everybody
mentioned
who
that. Oh,
participates.
that sounds
Yep,
great.
yep.
Okay.
I'll be sending that
Uh,
with some prompts.
Yeah.
If you showed up to class live, you get a copy of it because because it's going to be available in the group coaching program. But I want to send you with a tool. So if you guys showed up live to the class, Lori, Sigario, Whitney, you guys will get a copy of this grief journal. So that will help you to acknowledge the loss and write through it. And this came up for me too as well. I had not acknowledged the miscarriage that I had when I was 18. And so that loss is for me, I'm just acknowledging that. So finding a way to express our grief is absolutely crucial. So in our expression, this can be through writing, journaling, art, or even just talking about it. Like just even showing up today is 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 expressing your grief. I know that for my sister, she's written about it on Facebook. That's a way to express your grief. And expression allows us to process our emotions actively. So, what expression do you find that speaks to you, Lori?
Oh, I haven't ever tried art. I'm not an artist, but it's fun for me. Um, I'm not sure how to correlate, say, painting on canvas or something as letting go of some grief. I'm not, if you could maybe speak on that.
Yeah.
To me,
So,
I feel like I just focus on what I'm trying to paint and I wouldn't be thinking about the loss. I'd be thinking about the creation.
mm, so
Or,
for me, it would be I'm thinking of like painting a picture of my dog, or painting a picture of something that my brother loved, or something my uncle loved. My uncle was very into wrestling. He loved wrestling, so I would draw something like two wrestlers wrestling in the gym. Or for my brother, he was very into music, or finding something that they loved and expressing it that way, um, and like painting a picture of something that someone I lost love, or painting a picture of them, you
okay.
know, like painting a picture of my dog would be a great use of that time. Or I like to use AI art. Some people find that controversial, but the prompting that it takes, because AI art requires creative writing. And so through my creative writing, I can prompt something beautiful to come up in memorandum of them.
Hmm.
So maybe think of something like something that your mother loved and paint a picture of that, or a craft that you used to do together. Like if you had a craft or something, or even making that meal you talked about, or baking, that is an expression of of honoring them and expressing through that creation. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah.
And I don't, if Whitney's there, I don't want to hog all the time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So make sure I noticed that something came up on my phone and it was there for a while, but then it went away. So I don't know if she I would like to not, like I said, not just have it be all about me if there's somebody else out there too that would like to
I
talk.
I think she's just listening. I think that
Okay.
this is the first step for her is to just
Okay.
listen.
Okay.
Because a little bit, I'm sure my sister wouldn't mind me sharing. This is my little sister. I showed you a picture of my family in the very beginning. This is
Hmm.
my sister, Whitney.
Hmm.
Um, Whitney was close to my twin brothers, and they had a different relationship than I did because, of course, I'm like the mama bear. And Whitney is more of a sister to them. And she had a more childlike relationship with the boys where she could get on their level. And she has recently endured a very tragic loss, um, of one of her parental figures, her best friend, and who she calls her sister. Her best friend's mother died in a very tragic way, and she also lost her dog in February of last year, um, who was like a 14-year-old dog, Shiloh. And so Whitney is struggling to get through these losses. And so I have encouraged her to join us. And she is not as vocal as me. She is quite she's quite shy. And so she's just listening, and I'm holding space for my sister and encouraging her to be here because I would love to help her through this process. I don't think
Yeah.
she understood really what I do. And being the big sister and the mother figure is always it's kind of you don't really view your elders in the light of who they might really be, and so this was my opportunity to show her that I'm not just her mama bear sister, but I'm also here as her coach and helping her through this grieving process because I see that she's hurting and I want to help my siblings. And so she's here, just I'm holding space and she's just here to listen. And so when she's ready to share, I'm sure she
Okay.
will, but I don't know that she is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I encourage her to watch the other two videos too. And not, I mean, it's great that she's here today and that's lovely, but the other two are really great too. And in her time frame when she wants to. Are those going to be out there for a little while?
They're there forever. I
Okay.
have put them on my YouTube channel and they're in our group, but they will live on my YouTube channel forever. I want these to be available for everyone.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
Because I had a friend over yesterday who, interestingly enough, she's grieving something that she doesn't need to grieve yet, in the fact that her 93-year-old aunt is kind of like her mom.
Mm.
Because there was a divorce in the family when she was about 11, and she went to live with the aunt for just like a summer, and that became this bond that is, just phenomenal. And this lady is spry and she's still with it and she can do everything she does. But my friend was saying, I know I'm going to lose her. I mean, she's 93. And she said, I'm already dreading the day that occurs because that's going to be probably one of the roughest days of my life. So I was telling her about you, and she said,
Thank you.
"Is there a way she couldn't join live?" Um, she said, "Is there a way that I could watch those? Because I think I would really like to do that."
Thank you for the referral. Yes, she can watch them on YouTube. She can join the group, the Happy Gut Hub. These will be available. And that preemptive grief, that's starting the journey. She's recognizing that that will happen, and these tools apply as well. So she can apply these tools getting started in that grief process. It won't The grief is going to hit you no matter what. I mean, you're just going to have to go through it. The thing that everyone needs to recognize is we're all going to die. You're going to die. I'm gonna die. Whitney's gonna die. Your friend is gonna die. We're all gonna die. It's just like we all, have to go to the bathroom. Um, it's something that we don't talk about,
Hmm.
but it's something that we all do. And so we're not walking this path alone. We are walking each other home, as Deepak Chopra has said. We are walking each other home. And so if you can recognize that, honor it, and then start to do the work, just showing up for yourself every day and just showing up is the most important thing that you can do. Acknowledging that grief and being able to recognize that it's there, that's the first step, right? And then the next thing to ask yourself is, what does my support system look like? Reaching out from support. Your friend reached out to you. That's a part of her support system. You've come to this master class. This is a support system. My sister, I am her support system. What does your support system look like? What does your support system look like, Lori, in this grief journey? Do you feel like you have one?
Oh, yeah, I totally. Definitely my Garth, my husband. Um, Dawn is who I'm speaking about. Day, oh, good grief, DAWN, Dawn.
Hmm.
Um, we talk really deep, a lot. Very, very cool, very great, trusting, loving friendship. Um, I can talk with my sister, but I tend to not tell her as much as I probably would tell Dawn. So there's a bond there that I know she would support in any kind of way that she thought she could. She was a high functioning alcoholic, my sister. And she has recently gotten help and she is free from that. And she's a
Praise God.
completely different person now. And it's been about a year. So
Praise
um,
God.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And so we have some availability now to connect deeper than before. That's, I guess,
Mm,
what I would say on that.
yeah.
And then people like Dr. Tara and yourself, I feel very trusting of that. So I
Mhm.
feel like I have a pretty good system.
Good, good. It is crucial to have a support system because we're not meant to walk this path alone. Unfortunately, so many people do, and that starts with the first step, right? Acknowledging your grief and then expressing it. So the first step is acknowledging. The second step is expressing, and then reaching out to your support system. And so the way that we do that, is we have to let them know what's going on with us. Um, and if you don't have a support system, if you're watching this and this replay, and you don't have a support system, we will be your support system, and we can start there and teach you how to show up and build a support system within the systems that you already have. So many of us keep our pain to ourselves because we've been taught to, especially as women, we have taught to be quiet, to stop that. And men too, men are not really allowed per se to cry or express emotions. And I know that when my husband found out his father had died, that was very difficult for him because he's a very stoic man, and um, he's kept a lot of that in. And in my grief journey and him connecting with me during my losses, we've been able to talk a little bit about that. But the first step is acknowledging, and it's crucial to have that support system. So that provides that comfort and understanding, and then you, as a person going through this, can become someone else's support system, and it just becomes a ripple effect with a generational legacy. I always want to hammer that point home, that we want to be conscious of how we're showing up in the world, because it creates a ripple effect in our community, and it creates a ripple effect in our generational legacy. What my great grandparents, how they showed up in the world, affects me today. And we so often go through our life thinking that we how we're showing up isn't affecting anybody, but I'm here to tell you it does. I was high for 20 years straight, And, people out there I know struggle with this. And I'm not judging anyone because I was that person. People have alcoholism, so many things. And now that I'm on the other side, I have zero desire. There is no desire there to go back to being checked out because I'm able to work through some of this stuff. I'm able to be very real, and I'm very conscious of how I'm showing up in the world and how I am impacting others as a result. And so, in order for me to properly hold space for others, I have to be fully conscious. And so, when you're watching this, if you are watching this masterclass, remember that how you show up affects other people. It really, really does. And so, you just have to acknowledge, remember, acknowledge, express, and reach out for support. And just know it every day is a journey. You just have to show up every day, and you show up for yourself. It's for me, for you, for us. Remember that. For me, for you, for us. Yes, we answer to God, and we surrender to God, but ultimately the decisions we make are ours alone. And so it's our decision to make a change. And we're not meant to walk these paths alone. So that leads me to our next crucial step in any healing process is, of course, engaging in those self-care practices. Self-care, 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 self-care. I used to, let's see, when I was 20, in my 20s, I used to weigh about 188 pounds. I'm 5'2", so that was pretty big for me. That was my biggest. I almost got to 200. To this day now, I'm in the best shape of my life. I exercise every day. I lost about 30 pounds. And I feel great. I'm 38 years old. I'm almost 40. People are always like, oh, your age, your age. No, I'm actually healthier now than I ever was in my 20s. And so self-care practices like exercise, meditation, spending time in nature, art, being conscious of what you eat. Diet is so huge. Water, intake your water, your sleep. Your sleep impacts everything. If you're not sleeping well, you're not doing anything well. And I have been, so I was a marijuana addict for a long time, and I smoked a lot of pot and I didn't dream. So when you smoke pot, you don't go into REM sleep, which means you're not fully in recovery mode. And I didn't dream for years. And I finally started having dreams, and I feel more rested. And so sleep is huge. And my husband is a veteran, and he's had a lot of trauma, and he's a combat veteran, and he was in Afghanistan, and he's had a lot of trauma. And his sleep was just wrecked, and we had to make a decision. um when his daughter came to live with us, she's going to be 17 in a few weeks. um we had to make a decision for him and his health, that he would stay home and homeschool her, and take care of his sleep and take care of his health, because when he was working, he was waking up at 4 in the morning. Had to be to work at 5. And when you already have sleep problems and you're not going to sleep until 1 in the morning, you can't operate that way. And so those things, sleep, diet, exercise, water, those are crucial. Those are crucial. And if you are not taking care of those things, you can't function. And how can you ever get well? You can't. And so Dr. Tara and we focus a lot on those foundations, and that's where we like to start. That's why we have the group, the Happy Gut Hub, because all health starts in the gut. All health starts with what you put in your mouth, period. If you have hidden food intolerances, or things of that nature, then food intolerances are the inability of the body's ability to break down certain foods. So if you don't have the enzymes to break down certain foods, what happens is those foods sit in your gut, they ferment, and then you get bloated, you have gas, you have poop issues, you have all these issues. And so how can you ever be fully functional if you're dealing with that all the time? It's uncomfortable. So that's where we start. We start with the physical body, and then we move to the mental body and the mindset, what's going on up here, then the emotional, and then the spiritual. And those are our 4 pillars. And so self-care is absolutely pivotal. It's all about taking care of body and mind. And I cannot hammer that hard enough. So what self-care practices are you engaging in regularly, Lori?
Uh, I do not exercise. I stretch, but that's about it. Um, I'm super bad about water, which is comes from which I feel guilty of blaming it on being a teacher, but in all reality, it became illegal to leave the classroom and leave the students unattended.
Mm,
So 42 years of you had to sometimes you had the kids at recess, but you had 15 things you had to do, one of which was go to the bathroom. And sometimes, so you just got into this mode where you just didn't drink anything. You
mm,
would eat lunch for sure. I always ate breakfast, I always ate lunch, and I always ate dinner, but the water factor just wasn't that. And for a chunk of my adulthood, I was a Diet Coke freak.
mm.
Just that was my go-to. It could be 8:30 in the morning, 10 o'clock at night, got Diet Coke, and I don't do any sodas at all. But I don't do the water. And I'm home now. I'm retired. I can drink water whenever I want. I need to consciously put that into my day. Like I need so many ounces down by noon, and then between noon and 6 or whatever. So that's something I need
I have a
guidance
trick for
on.
that. I have a trick for that. So to get your brain retrained, you have to retrain your brain because we have these pathways that are already made and they like to, it's like when you sit in the same spot in the classroom every time you always go to that spot. I've always been one that will change my seat so that I'm retraining my brain. So first step is to get a water bottle. That is the first step. The second step is to get a couple rubber bands. You see, I have a couple rubber bands on mine. And
Mm.
what I do is what I used to do was set an alarm, and I would set an alarm every hour for 4 hours. That would remind me to drink water. But I put my rubber bands on my water bottle. And so 4 rubber bands equals the amount of water that you need in a day. And so whenever I've completed one of these, I just take my rubber band and I just take it. I either take it off. I've just taken to moving it to the bottom. And
Oh, okay.
so, and that helps me keep track of how much water I've drank. And then when these all move to the bottom or they're gone, I've had my water for the day.
So you fill
And
that 4 times.
yes,
Okay.
yep,
How many ounces is in it at a time right now? I mean, just once.
32, 32.
32.
So four
Blah, blah,
32
blah.
ounces. Yep. And set an alarm for each hour for the first 4 hours of your day. And then it will remind you to drink, not to drink the whole, I guess you would want to actually drink it. You would actually want to set it for every 15 minutes. Like I would set an alarm for every 15 minutes of the hour. So then you're taking 4 big gulps, but it's just reminding you to drink water, or you could do it 1 hour each day for 8 hours, just however, just reminds you to drink that water. But the rubber bands was a good trick that was given to me by Dr. Allegra. And it's worked for me for years, and it's become second nature because I was someone who was, when I was in college, I wasn't able to drink water in college because I went to medical assistant school, and we were always in clinicals, and you can't run to the bathroom in the middle of your clinical. And so and I was one that was like always like going to the bathroom, and so that's how I corrected that because I was not good with the water. That was probably one of the biggest struggles I had, was water. And I was a big pop drinker and a big energy drink coffee drinker, and if you drink coffee, you need to remember to add, so for every cup of coffee you need to add 2 cups of water, because
Okay.
coffee is a diuretic, and it will you'll pee it out.
Okay.
And if you find yourself having headaches, a lot of times headaches are due to a lack of water, of being dehydrated.
I don't have a lot of headaches.
Yeah,
No,
that's good.
but I know that I don't drink enough water. I'm just lucky that I don't have the headache problem.
And what is your resistance to exercise? Is it just not knowing what to do?
It's funny because most of my life I was very, very active as like a gymnast in junior high and high school. I lived and breathed it. It was just my thing, which you have to do a lot of stretching before you work out, and cool down and the whole. I was taught everything you're supposed to know, and then an unusual part of my life is that Wenatchee still has a youth circus.
Yes.
And I was in the heyday years where we were playing to Orange County, whatever their fair is in Orange County, California, with like 75,000 people there and all of that. So that was exercise, but to me, that was like my family that I didn't have. It's not the trashy gypsy circus world. It was, you had rules, you broke one of them, bye bye, you're on a bus home. And you had, 100 brothers and sisters of all ages. And the older kids' job was you train up the younger. So adults were there as supervision and, you know, encouragement, but it was everyone taught everyone. And it was this beautiful thing. But I don't even know how many calories I burned a day. And they fed us like kings and queens, 3 meals a day, all the time. It was just like food, 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 but we burned it. So I never had a weight problem. I was always fit. And then, you could only be a part of that until you were 18, and then you were gone. You were done. You left it to the next people to come up.
Mhm.
Um, And so I got into like jazzercise when that was a thing and step aerobics. And I was doing those types of things. And little by little, as I just got older and older, I just did less and less and less and less. And I didn't want the gym membership thing. And then I wasn't even going. So why am I paying for that?
Mm.
Um, but the ridiculous thing is during COVID, Garth and I turned our garage into a full blown, well, a moderate gym.
Mhm.
Haven't done one thing. Well, he was studying karate and he would do some karate down there a little bit. And he bought me a treadmill. I think I used it twice, and he's kind of like, we just talked about that this morning. It's time. We need to
Mhm.
do this. We've gotten ourselves out of shape and there's no excuse and it's going to be rough, but we need to get on this. So luckily I have that support
That's an
system.
awesome
Yeah. And
resource.
I mean, we've got the light weights, the heavy weights, the bench, the treadmill is kind of in the way. And I've decided I'm not a person who likes to walk and not get to see mountains and valleys. And I need that when I'm walking. I can't stand to just look at the handlebars of the machinery. And I can't read. That's just forget it because it's just too bouncy. I can't have my glasses on my face that I need to be able to read if I'm trying to read and run.
Yeah,
Um,
and it's not very, it doesn't, you have to get into a mind body connection when you're exercising, and in order to make process progress. So to read and do it is not actually very conducive to making progress. And I'm a big weight lifter. I'm
mm,
very into weightlifting. I have done every type of exercise under the sun for a long time. I've really tried everything, and I was in my yoga phase. I did my aerial yoga phase. I did the cardio thing, and the one thing that changed my complete body composition was weightlifting. And so I still do. I'll do spin a little bit here and there. I'll do yoga, my aerial yoga. Aerial yoga is really fun, especially if you are in the circus. It's a really cool, we have a great aerial yoga studio here in Wenatchee, Valkyrie, and they have like a 15 class pass, and I think it's like only $30. If you love that type of thing, I would say to try the aerial yoga like once a week. It is so cool. It's kind of scary at
Mhm.
first, but if
Yeah.
you like to be in the air, it's really fun. And as we age, your body changes, and you need to have muscle density in order to um stay upright,
Mhm.
really, and not like break your hip and all that stuff. And um I've seen a lot of people in the later years of their lives doing weightlifting at my gym, and I'm really happy to see that because it's essential. And you can lower your fat composition and just change your whole body by weightlifting. And if you need some help with that, I have a great resource. Full disclosure, Dr. Tara and I are bringing on a really awesome personal trainer in our wellness mastery, the wellness mastery membership that we have, the one that I was telling you about, the $99 a month. We are, I think in a month, we will be having a personal trainer who specializes in weightlifting in the later years of your life, with people who have injuries, with people that aren't typical like healthy fit young people, to come and show. We're going to have video trainings for you available in there, and it is going, she's getting ready for it. We are like really excited about this collaboration. And so we try to bring in specialists who have their specialties, right, and that can speak to that, because this isn't just me and Tara's game. This is for we want to provide all the resources. So if you're ready for that, let me know. When we have that going on, I'll be sure to let you know.
Okay.
It's a really
Yeah.
cool thing, and she'll teach you um, how to use your weights properly, because there's a lot of resources out there that are simply just incorrect. They give you incorrect
Right.
information, and it's hard
Right.
to wade through that. And I personally train with Michelle. I don't know if you know Michelle Stutzman. Um, she's Inspire for Life
She was at
coaching.
the rack a while. I mean, long ago, right?
Long time ago. Yeah,
Maybe
she's
she stayed there for a really long time, but I'm talking like my daughter was like
yeah.
3.
Yeah, she's been doing this forever. She's been doing this as long as I have been alive. And so that's why we're drawing her expertise to come and share with us. And I've been working with her personally. I did weightlifting for 3 years before I had a personal trainer that really brought it all together for me and taught me the concept of proprioception and the mind body connection, and how to properly have the proper form, because there is a technique in weightlifting. I mean, it's one thing to just lift the weights, but to
Right.
have
Yeah.
actual technique is important.
Right.
So that will be available. And so self-care is just essential, and it's all about taking care of our body and our mind, and being able to move through that healing process. So the final resource and the final thing that I wanted to share with you guys is the journaling. I've been hammering on the journaling. I know that I'm always saying journal, 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 but truly, there's many reasons for this. It's not only that we can reflect back on who we were and how we've changed, but it's just the process of letting go. Because when you journal, you're letting that go. It's actually releasing it. And so, as I mentioned before, I have created a resource for those of you who showed up to this class, and then those of you who are going to join the group, the 8-week program, the Grief Relief Journal. This journal is specific prompts that will guide you through this process with different questions that will ask that bring stuff up. It's a tool that will help you explore and express your feelings in a supportive and healing way, because it's one thing to write out your day, and but it's another thing to have an intentional process. And so I encourage you to go through that. Do you already journal?
I don't. And I was going to bring that up before you closed. I went through a divorce in 1999, my kids' dad, and computers, believe it or not, were relatively new.
Mm.
And at school, we'd been given not like laptops, but the old clunky looking ones. And we had printers and da, 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 da. Well, I was receiving some counseling that was very good um, at that time. And she gave me an assignment to write a letter. And I did. At that time, I was still living in the same house with him. And I didn't want to do it there. So I did it at school, after class was over, of course. Um, and you didn't have your own printer. You had a printer in the office.
Mm-hmm.
And I spilled my guts on a letter,
Oh,
not realizing that it could get lost or not come out of the printer I thought it was going to come out of. And I have a fear of writing anything. It went, I don't know how far, but it went out to other people in my realm of teaching that should have never read it.
oh,
Yeah.
holy. Oh,
I'm sweating. My hands are
oh,
sweating. And that was 1999.
oh,
Um, so I have an issue with writing stuff down. I want to get past it,
yeah.
but that's why I've never like written a
So
letter about my mom or anything. My
let me
home
ask
is
you.
safe. Garth can know anything and everything. I would not mind at all if it was, I mean, he's actually journaled a ton. And he's always asked me, what, you should journal that. And I'm like, I can't. I just can't. And it's not because I don't want him to read it. It just floods me with that awful time in my life that I went through that.
What was the outcome of that? Did you have negative feedback? Was there people that came, like, what happened after people read it? What kind of feedback did you receive?
I heard, because at the time he was working in a different part of the district than I was. And somebody in a different building came to me and said, there's something floating around that you wrote or something. I don't know. A lot of people are talking about it. I just thought you should know. I'm sad to bring this news to you, but if it were me, I would want to know. And I'm coming to you. She said, I myself haven't read it, but I've just overheard conversations and how it got to them. And it was through electronic such and such. And of course, then I, had to speak to the kids' dad about that. Like, that was not what was supposed to happen. That was supposed to be me doing work for my counselor. I wasn't trying to get our life on paper out there. So, because it affected him too, because it was clearly me writing about him. And so
Mhm.
I hurt him even worse by making this mistake of hitting print.
Mhm.
Yeah. And that the repercussions were nobody really came to me and said, so and so discovered this and made copies, and it went from there. But it was between the lines kind of, and this was significantly like years later. I think it was so and so, if I remember correctly. And I'm like, well, that would make sense, yeah. So,
Well,
but I had another thought and I can't remember what it kind of left me.
well,
Oh, and so to what I did, because there was just this current, and it was a small school. So it's not like a staff of 50 people. One day I just put a blanket statement out and I said, nachos and pop, Lori's room, lunch. Be there, be square. And everybody knew. It was just like, oh no, did you talk to her? No, I didn't say anything. Did you talk to her? I didn't say anything. Everybody came except one person. And I just told him, I said, okay, here's the scoop. This is what happened. And I know it's out there. And all I want to do is let you guys know it was an assignment I was given. I thought I was doing my homework. I'm mortified. I know about it. You don't have to tippy toe and whisper behind doors. I already know. I really don't care who started it or any. I just want you guys to know. I I hear the whispers, and it's not okay. And everybody was pretty good. They really were. And they mentioned that they were sorry, and you know, they didn't throw anybody under the bus, and I wasn't really asking for them to do that. I just wanted to say I'm aware, and this was deeply personal, and can you imagine if it was you?
Mm.
It needs to stop. It's already, I don't even know how far, but if you could just, if somebody comes to you, could you just shut it down? And they were like, yeah, we can. So really unique that this one person just wasn't there.
Did you find that you had support, like did people support you afterwards, and maybe did your connection with them deepen a little bit? Is there anyone that you can think of?
Several key people, yes, everybody
Hmm.
know, but
Hmm.
key
Well, of
people
course.
that, yeah, the ones that really mattered, they would, they were great. They were really
Mm.
great.
Yep. And that really showed you who was the real ones, and the ones that were just not really, that had the
Yeah,
wobble, right?
everybody loves a juicy story, right?
Yeah, and we all are vulnerable, and I think that it's easy for people to pick on those who have expressed that vulnerability, because really it comes down to they're not brave enough to be that vulnerable. And so I encourage you to reframe this in a way and look at how it impacted your life in a positive way, because perhaps some of those relationships that you built after that were a result of that. And so rather than being fearful of what might come up and if who might read it, maybe know that could result in a more positive outcome, and it really separates the people that are real from the people that aren't. And
Mhm.
so maybe recognizing that and sitting with it, maybe your first journal assignment needs to be around that and what your fear of the journaling is.
Yeah.
Could that be something that you could do?
I really want to work through this because I'm kind of tired of, I know some of my body issues that are related to discs in my back. I wiped out skiing 23 years ago.
Mm.
And this stress, I know if I go through this process, it's going to help me be healthier for this last kind of chapter in my life. Because I'm 66.
Okay. So yep. So you're entering that last half of your
Yeah,
life.
I've spent a lot of time, a lot of decades.
You have more yesterdays than you do tomorrows, is how one of my friends put it.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah. Right.
yeah,
That's a good
and
one.
that's
I like that.
yeah, that was very profound for me to think about. And in that last half, it's like, what legacy do you want to leave? And maybe
Uh-huh.
some of the fear is around if those journal pages are left and your children read them, or when you're, gone. And if it helps to burn them when you're done, maybe
Yeah.
that's how you start.
Yeah.
And just getting rid of it, writing it down and deleting it, typing it out and then just hitting delete. And that might be how you start. And then you might find through the process you want to keep it. And I think that would be a great way to start journaling for you, is to write it down, get rid of it. And then it's that the thought of it being stuck in the ether somewhere and somebody reading it is gone. But if you can actually work towards having it stay and just acknowledge that someone might read it and it might make them love or hate you, that just shows you where they've been the whole time, right? Like who
Yeah,
they really are. I mean,
true.
that's the reflection, is if I put myself out there and they don't appreciate it, well, they never were really a real one to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
So we're weeding him out. We're weeding him out.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that would be really healing for you. Um, we are nearing the end of our time, and it's almost the end of the 3 week, or I mean the 3 days. And this has been a really, thank you for showing up. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you showing up, because as someone newer to this space, and I always have a lot of register and a lot of people hyping up and excited, and then this is true for both Tara and I. The people that show up, we always know that it was meant to be, and that we're holding space for those people, and it just means a lot to us when people show up and engage, because the magic happens when we have these conversations. I can talk to people on the screen all day, but we can't connect. The stories are what connect us, and it's been healing for me, for those of you who showed up, for you and Sigario to show up, and my sister Whitney here. Whitney and I've talked separately, but yesterday's um, session with Sigario really brought some stuff up for me too as a coach. And I'm not, I am not perfect. I do not have all the answers. And so this is for me, for you, for us. And we are going to continually drive that message home. And that this is a generational ripple effect that we want to leave. And so I hope that you'll take these resources with you. If we don't ever work together again, I hope that you've gained something from this masterclass. If we do continue together in another capacity, I look forward to that, and I am excited to have whoever joins in that program.
Mm-hmm.
And at this time, I'm going to remind you guys that I do have the 8 week group coaching program. It's building on what we've started here on this journey. It's designed to provide deeper support and a structured guidance through the journey, including weekly group coaching sessions for 8 weeks, the grief relief journal as a companion, and I will be going through those prompts. I'm going to be diving deeper into my stories. I have so many stories, and a lot of I've lived a big life, and I've had a lot of issues that I've had to work through. And um, working with Tara has been so amazing, because we're just both so different, and she's had a different life experience than I have, and mine is a bit darker. I am not. I am not someone that has had an easy, fluffy life, and I'm not saying that she has either. She's had a difficult go as well in so many things, but my life is shocking to some. There are some shocking stories that I will be sharing, and I'm just ready to connect with people. But if you're watching this replay, if you want more information, feel free to reach out to me or visit our website, www.drtarawinston.com. If you click on the mental and emotional, you'll find the Transformative Tears group coaching program. I don't have a start date. I wish I did, but I need at least 3 to 5 people to make the coaching experience a fruitful one for everybody. So I'm putting it out there. I'm putting the intention out there that the right people will join. And once I have a full collective of people that are ready to commit to that, I will start. I will have a start date. The price on it is only $333, which is quite a bit to some, but I've priced it the lowest that I can for the clinic, because both Tara and I are working on these things. And so while she won't be showing up in the group coaching, she might have a guest appearance, and she facilitates this. So that equals like 47 a week, I think. So it was the best that we could do in that, and so that we still have our get paid. And so I'm just holding the intention that the right people will join us, and when we have a full class, I will announce a start date. I was going to start it this Tuesday, but I think I'm going to wait until the class is at least 4 people, because that's what needs to happen. So, as we close today's session, I just want to leave you with a few self-reflection questions that I'd love for you guys to write down. You don't need to share these answers now. I just encourage you to consider them as you move forward. And if we never work together again, I would love it for you to start journaling on these. So, question number 1 is, What is one significant insight about your grief that you've gained from these 3 days?
Okay. Got it.
Okay. Number 2 is, how can expressing your grief more openly change your healing journey?
Okay.
And what support system do you currently have? And what do you feel like you need that you don't have?
Okay.
Perfect. So, and then for those of you who are not incorporating self-care into your daily routine as a tool for healing, I want you to reflect on what you can do to make a change. One thing. What is one thing? If you don't take anything away from any of this, what is one thing that you can change in your life today? Drinking more water, exercising, whatever that is. What can you commit to so that you can become the best version of yourself? And if I can assist you in that journey, please feel free to reach out to me. I am always here. And if you want to continue with me in the 8-week coaching program, I'll put you on my wait list. But I want to thank you genuinely from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for showing up, and thank you for watching the replays. Just thank you for your incredible courage and willingness to share, especially you, Lori and Sigario, as we support each other through this class. Healing from grief is a lifelong journey. It's never going to end. You don't get over it. Let me just rephrase that. You're never going to get over it. I will be 90 and I will still be crying over my brother, uncle, my dog, my aunt, my other uncle. Like, I will still be crying over all the people and probably more. But I encourage you that it doesn't have to defeat you. It is not an end point. We grow through what we go through. This is a growth mechanism, and God has designed it for us all. Okay. It's all about those steps. It's one breath, one bite, one step at a time. We eat dinner one bite at a time.
Totally. That's you have been fabulous. Just know that.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. It sometimes I'm not gonna lie, I get a little discouraged out here, but it's
I'm
I know
sure.
that but I'm
Yeah.
new, I'm new to this and the online world, and I'm just someday this will just reach the right people, and it's been so healing for me to do this with you guys. So thank you. So let's close today's session, which is a moment of silence, holding space for ourselves and each other and the people that we've lost. And I hope that our paths continue to cross in our healing journey. And I'm here for you. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being brave and for being open. May you find peace and healing on your journey.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Goodbye for now.
And it's a sunny day.
I know. Yes, I'm going to go walk my dog.
Fabulous. Okay.
All
Thank you
right.
for your expertise and the way that you present. It was very deeply felt by me.
Thank you. Thank you for showing up, Lori. I appreciate you. I deeply appreciate you for having this conversation.
Okay.
Until
Talk
we
to you
meet
soon.
again. All right.
Okay. You got it.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, sister. I love you. Hey, Whitney, I love you. I love you so much. And I know that you can hear me, and I know that this has been hard for you. But I'm here for you, and you're part of my healing journey. And we can tell our brother's story together, and you will get through this, okay?
Love you.
I love you. Okay, I'm here for you.